In this video, I'm sharing advice to my 30-year-old self about things I wish I knew or was better educated about before I turned 40. I'm sharing the list of these 5 things because I wish I started implementing them into my life when I was in my 30s. So I think it would be very helpful for women in their 30s and even in their 40s started implementing these things in their lives, especially thing number 5, which I think every woman should know about. Okay, let's get into it. Number 1, strength training. All my life I was a yogic girl and I thought that yoga was enough to keep me healthy, to live a long, healthy life, and I thought that I would be fine. When I suddenly found out through my nutritionist that doing yoga is not actually enough and that you need to go to the gym and do strength training. Because as we age, we lose our muscle mass, and if we want to stay healthy and live a long, active life, we need to build and maintain muscle mass. So I signed up for the gym 2 months after I turned 40, actually 1 month after I turned 40. And since then, I became a gym girl, not only a yogi girl. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a gym addict. I'm not crazy about gyms. But I realized how important it is, and because I'm crazy about longevity and I want to live happy, healthy life, and I want to be able to do things that I'm doing now in my 40s. I want to play tennis when I turn 50, 60. I want to have the same active lifestyle. I want to be able to travel, take planes, maybe do some easy hiking, trekking. I think it's very important to introduce strength training into your life for this reason. If you are in your 40s or in your 50s, you're not behind. You still can introduce strength training into your life. But if you're in your 30s, I would recommend to do it the earlier, the better. If you want to live a long, healthy, happy life, if you want to do everything you're doing now, after 10 years, 20 years, strength training is the fastest and most efficient way to build and maintain muscle mass. Thing number 2, heal your money wounds, overcome your fears, and start investing. In my 20s, I made a very bad investment decision that scared me off investing for years. It took me lots of time and emotional work to realize why I cannot invest and risk my money, why I was very conservative with my money strategies and the way I was preserving my wealth. I think every woman should know how to invest and how to preserve and build the wealth. It's not something we are taught at school, and usually we learn the same tactics that our parents used, and in my family it was not the best tactics, to be honest. When I started digging up why I have so many fears around money, I looked at the way my parents treated money, the way my parents talked about money, how much fears they had around it, and also what investment decisions they took. And I must admit, it was not the smartest and not the best decisions. As children, we watch our parents and we unconsciously repeat their strategies of dealing with money. The same way we repeat their strategies of dealing with everything else, we repeat and kind of inherit the same money wounds. So in order to break these patterns, you really need to look into your family history and maybe dig up in therapy or by yourself what's holding you back, how you spend money, how you save money. Sometimes we think that what we are doing is the right way because we didn't know any other way to deal with money. Then when you look at other people, you discover actually there are so many different ways how people treat money. It's very interesting to look inside and to change these patterns and try to adopt a different strategy. So how do you overcome your fears around money? For me, the best thing was that I just told myself that no one gonna manage your money better than you can do it yourself. So first step is actually start trusting yourself with your own money, which many of us don't do. We trust the bank, we trust other people, but we don't trust ourselves because we think that we're gonna make a mistake, because we think that markets or investing is something very complicated. It's only for special people who sit on Wall Street with 300 screens and they know what they are doing. But we commoners, we people without financial education, people who didn't work in finance or in banking system, we don't know how it works. In fact, it took me only 1 week to figure out investing. I watched a few YouTube videos, I read a couple of articles, I found some trustworthy financial bloggers, and I figure out how it works. I figure out how to open an investment account, how to find a brokerage firm, how ETFs work. If you want to be a passive long-term investor, it's not that difficult. The game changer is to tell yourself that you need to learn how investment works, because if you don't know how it works, of course, you will be scared to invest. So you need to learn at least some basic steps of investments, and trust me, you don't need to be like investment guru and know everything and read all books on investments. You actually can do it. You can start reading books if this is something you're interested in. But to preserve and grow your wealth, you can adopt some very basic strategies that do not require you to open your brokerage account every day and see what's happening there. This is not a financial advice. That's why I will not go into strategies, what you can do. It's up to you to educate yourself about it and learn what kind of strategy will be okay for your age and your risk levels. The bottom line of this is that the best way to overcome your fear about investment is actually learn about investing and how to invest. And this will be the first step to taking responsibility for your own money and for your own wealth. Attachment theory. I wish I knew about attachment theory before I turned 40. It would save me so much time that I wasted on useless relationships that were not going to work anyway. If you are struggling with dating, if you feel that love comes easier to other people than to you, attachment theory may be the answer. I will not go here into details explaining what attachment theory is. You can Google it, and there are tons of information online. Everyone is talking right now about attachment theory. It is mainstream in relationship psychology right now. But I just want to say that if you have an insecure attachment style, avoidant or anxious, you definitely have to check attachment theory. If you don't know your attachment style, you can do the test online or read one book that explains about attachment styles, and it would be enough. You will actually figure out what's your attachment style. So if you're one of those, you kind of feel that to find love, to settle in the right relationships is a bit more complicated than just finding the right person. For me, it was a game changer. I stopped wasting time on unavailable men, on a relationship that's not gonna work. I started understanding what's happening with me and what's happening with these people that come into my life and why they behave this way or another way. Understanding attachment theory is only halfway of the work that you have to do. The next part is actually you need to heal your wounds and started moving from insecure attachment towards secure attachment. And I'm gonna talk about how to do it in other videos, but for now, for the purposes of this video, of the things I wish I knew before I turned 40, I just wanna encourage you to learn about attachment theory and find out what your attachment style is and how to detect, how to recognize people with other attachment styles when you start dating someone and you feel confused why things are happening the way they're happening. Okay, number 4 is a bit controversial. I was myself very conservative about this topic for a very long time, and I'm talking about Botox procedures. I enjoyed young looks for all my life. I always look younger than my actual age, like significantly several years younger. And I thought that I would never need Botox injections and I would never need any other beauty procedures. And actually, I've never done it until I turned 42 and a half. And I suddenly found out that many people in my circle are actually even younger than me using Botox for a few years already, which made me realize that I was very conservative about this and I wanted to learn more about Botox procedure and pros and cons. I suddenly decided that it's something that I want to do. I've done it only once. I think the effect already faded away. I have to do it again soon. But I would recommend women in their 30s and 40s to check out this procedure and to educate yourself. I'm not saying that everyone should do it, because it's really a personal choice and I cannot give this kind of advice because it's really up to you and to a medical professional that you're working with. But I wish that I was not as conservative about this, and I wish I knew more about it. I was conservative about Botox because I thought it's something bad, that it's unsafe, that it will change my facial lines in a bad way. But I was wrong. I was wrong. That's why I included this in this video, because sometimes we're too stubborn about some things because we just don't know what it's about. And we may miss some opportunities of preserving our youth the way we want for longer if we don't know about those options. So my advice to my 30-year-old self, don't be too conservative. Just educate yourself about different beauty procedures. That's it. Maybe one day you'll need it. Number 5, X-freezing. As I mentioned at the beginning of my video, I think every woman should know about this and take it seriously. I wish I knew in my 30s about X-freezing and all fertility issues and fertility topic more than I actually knew. That's why I'm sharing this topic with you, because I think it's important for women in their 20s and their 30s to learn about this procedure, and if they decide to go ahead, do it when they are in their 20s or early 30s. Because the younger you are, the better outcome you may have if you decide to do X-freezing. When I talk to younger women about this topic, they're very interested, but the first thing that I hear, oh, but this is hormonal stimulation, this is so bad for your body. Well, that's exactly my concern when I heard about this procedure for the first time. And that's exactly why I'm sharing today with you, because it's important to know about procedure and to educate yourself. Because if we have just very superficial knowledge, oh, but this is hormonal stimulation and this is something very bad, then we actually don't understand the whole thing, and then it will be the same. We become too conservative about the procedure and we think that this is not something for me. Here you can miss out on those years when you actually can do this procedure very safely without much complications for your body. My main message to women in their 20s and 30s is not to be conservative about it. And I know that it's very difficult at this age to think about X-freezing, and you might need those eggs that you freeze at 25 or 30 when you are 40, 45. Because when we are young, we think that I will not be like this woman in those 40s who reach the age of 40 and they never got married and they didn't have a chance to have babies. I will not be the one. Like, my life would be different. I know that it's very difficult to think about X-freezing and that you might need those eggs when you're 40 or above, because when you're 25, all your life is ahead of you, and you think that you will not become this woman who needs IVF procedure at the age of 40, because you think that you might probably meet your Prince Charming in your 20s or your early 30s, and you will have all your children before 35. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen to everyone, and as you look at our lifestyle, more and more women choose other goals over family and childbirth, and they postpone founding family and having children to their late 30s or early 40s. So freezing eggs is like buying an insurance that you might need or you might not need. Having an insurance is better than to have none. So my message to those who are in their 20s and 30s, just learn about this procedure. Go to fertility clinic, talk to a fertility doctor, learn how much it costs, learn about pros and cons, and maybe it's something that you want to do. Maybe that's an insurance that you want to buy to secure a little bit your future chances to become a mother. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you want me to expand on any of the topics I covered in this video, and thank you for watching.